What's up, everybody? Welcome back to our tips section, Just the Tips. I'm Captain Frank Viola, and today I'm going to teach you the knocker rig. This is a super easy rig. Early season tarpon fishing, when the tarpon first show up and they're not actively eating crabs and whitebait and pinfish and stuff like that in the past, we use this rig with ladyfish, cut ladyfish. You can use this exact rig for big snapper or grouper on wrecks or in the past. I use this rig a lot for big black drum. So what I'm going to start off with, and by the way, we're going to do a tip on this knot by itself. This is called the FG knot. Maybe before I do that, I'll show you guys exactly what you need. Well, obviously you need your line attached to your rod and reel. We're black drum fishing this week, so I'm using 40-pound fluorocarbon. You need a 3 or 4 ounce egg sinker, and you need a circle hook, and this is a size 5/0 circle hook by Mustad. So first thing we're going to do is I'm going to pull out about 6 feet. That's an arm length for me. And also you need a pair of pliers, by the way, premios preferably, because if you don't have a pair of premios, you need to get yourself some. So we're going to cut that. All right, we don't need that anymore. For the FG knot, we're going to zip through this really quick, and like I said, below in the description we'll put a link to the FG knot. Alright guys, we got our FG knot tied, and I know there's a lot of different ways to tie your braid to your leader. I'm going to show you why I tie the FG knot, because it's helpful, especially for black drum. Tarpon, I might not do this. We got our 6.5 feet of fluorocarbon. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to take our egg sinker, we're just going to slide it down the very end of our fluoro. Then, we're going to take our circle hook, and I'm going to tie a Snell knot. And again, we'll make a tip video exactly how to tie the Snell knot. So we'll zip through this as well. We've got our Snell knot tied now, and the whole point of this tip is to show you exactly how this knocker rig works. Alright, so we're going black drum fishing tonight, as a matter of fact. We're using a VR 150 by Van Staal, and we're using a Legend Tournament St. Croix rod, which is a medium heavy fast action. So this is our rig right here. If you look at it, it doesn't look like much. It's just a hook and a weight sitting there. Alright, what this does is we're going to be using crabs, or say we're tarpon fishing, we're using a chunk of ladyfish. We're going to drop that down to the bottom, right? That is going to go down to the bottom and sit there like this. That current's going to rip, whether it's going in or out, and what's going to happen here is that bait is going to come back. And the reason I use a Snell knot, by the way, is if you see that the line, the knot's wrapped around the shank of the hook. If you use a different kind of knot, that knot is going to get lodged up inside this weight, and it's going to mess everything up. It's happened too many times. So what happens is now the very circle part of the hook hits the weight, and the line, there's no knot for it to grab onto. So that's important. I suggest tying a Snell knot when using a knocker rig. Alright, what's going to happen now is this bait, whether it's ladyfish for tarpon, or it's a pinfish for grouper, or it's a shrimp for snapper, or it's a chunk of crab for black drum, that current is going to pull this, and that weight is going to sit on the bottom. And as you let more line out, that weight's going to sit there, and this bait is going to be able to freely move around in the current, which is going to look a lot more natural than if you have a split shot or something, and it's just sitting there right up against the bait. So this is an extremely usable rig for you guys. Now, the reason I use the FG knot is if I want to let a lot of line out, especially for grouper, snapper, or black drum. Alright, this is where the knot is right here, my FG knot. This weight can go up and back down over that knot. See that? So if I want to let 10 feet of line out, if I want to drop this straight down and the current's not ripping as hard as it should be, and I want to let that bait get back towards, say, fenders or pilings, I can just leave that there and I can feed out line slowly, and this weight will still stay on the bottom, and I can feed more line out. I think the FG knot's super important for this. And that's your rig. It's really, really simple, really easy. If you guys didn't know this, it's going to be really helpful. If you want to black drum fish, grouper fish, snapper fish, or tarpon fish early season, when they're feeding on the bottom and they're not as active on top, when the water temperature's a little colder, this is the rig for you. So that's how I do it, and I hope that helps. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.